Yo guys, what's going on? What's happening? It is AdamMcKola TV, is United Daily. We are back and we are talking Paul Pogba yet again. But it might be some news that Manchester United are happy about, Manchester United fans particularly, or could the source mean that any hope that we had has all but evaporated? Because the source of the news that has got the British papers talking this morning isn't quite as reliable as it would appear to be, or you was hoped to be, or any of that. So we'll be looking at where these reports have come from in regards to Paul Pogba potentially signing a new deal. Although I've got to say, over the last 2 months, 3 months, I've become a whole lot more confident that he is going to stay at Manchester United. We will be talking about the Premier League, unlikely to start now, and there's been another date set around June the 8th. We're not going to get any football possibly, but I can see it dragging further and further on into the year. United have yet again been linked with Arsenal's captain Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang, and Ornstein's reports from yesterday, which were that United are not in for Jack Grealish. We can talk about them again if you want. We'll be going through the rest of the headlines in relation to Manchester United. So keep your thoughts coming in. Keep your questions coming in. Any links to any news you've got that you maybe want me to cover, keep them getting chucked into the comments, and I'll do as much as I can in this United Daily Live. And remember, later on today as well, we've got a special FIFA video. I've got to finish the edit as soon as we're done here. I'm going to get that out for you tonight. And that is a head-to-head between me and FootFG, the official Manchester City FIFA player. I'll be taking him on in a head-to-head best of 3, and that'll be coming up for you later on today, a Manchester derby on FIFA 20. So that's our content for later today. We usually have streaming content or FIFA content on a Saturday, and that's coming up later on today. So make sure you're keeping it locked for that. It was an epic battle, I've got to say. And just keep watching. Just when you watch the first bit, you're going to think, oh my God. But please, just keep watching. So make sure you're checking it out for that. What's going on? Lam, Al, Tane, Sushan, Arturo, Adam, Person, C Squared, Nonihao, Yuri, Lee, Alex. Plenty of people in the comments as well. Some regular faces, some new faces. Person 22 is not ready for the show yet, but we're still rolling. And we're looking at those reports that have been floating around everywhere. If you go on news now, and you scroll down, you'll just see Manchester United, Paul Pogba, Manchester United, Paul Pogba to sign a new deal, this, that, and the other. And you click on it and you think, where the hell is this coming from? Where is it coming from? Where could this report possibly be coming from? What has happened that has made Paul Pogba signing a deal look so likely? Well, I'll tell you what it is. It's come from Willem Balaguer. Now, reports this morning that United are confident of getting Paul Pogba to agree to a new deal. And I think that's likely. I think it's a very likely situation. But when I heard who was talking about it and who was saying, well, you know, he's not going to go to Real Madrid or Juventus, his best place to stay is at Manchester United, and I can see him signing a new deal there. That came from Willem Balaguer. Now, when Balaguer says something is going to happen, usually the very opposite of what he said is going to happen happens. And that is why I'm a little bit worried about this one, because of who the source is, who it's coming from. Now, I think Guillem Balaguer is literally just giving his personal opinion. I doubt he has any insight. He hasn't got a clue what's going on. He's been out of the loop for a very, very long time. He's been put out of business, serious business, by the real reliable sources that are out there. And I remember there was once upon a time, probably about, I don't know, 10 years ago or something, where his opinion was highly respected and highly regarded. Now, he still might get some great interviews and things like that, which I think he has done. And there was something that he did for TalkSport with like Juan Mata, which was about Spanish players, which I really enjoyed. But as a journalist, in the know, transfer journalist, he doesn't have many scoops. And this is not a scoop from Guillem Balaguer. It is literally just his opinion. It is good as me sitting on here in the last few weeks on United Daily Live saying, Paul Pogba, I got a feeling he's going to stay. That's literally what he's doing. That is literally what this fella is doing. So let's not get carried away with what Willem Balaguer is saying. But let's take a look at all the reports of what's going on at the moment. United were believed to have been in for Jack Grealish. And then we see a kind of changing of, you know, the way things sit at Manchester United for various reasons. You know, you've got the coronavirus pandemic, which has stopped football, stopped everything, stopped it at a time for United as well, where things were going very positively. You've had Bruno Fernandes come in, injured players returning, bar Rashford, bar Pogba, and the squad looking like it's a much happier place to be. The results have been improving, the performances have been improving, and United have seemingly got better. Now you look at that as the backdrop for this situation where Paul Pogba's future was laying in the balance. I thought Paul Pogba was off this summer. If it was a normal summer, Paul Pogba's off. Real Madrid or Juventus are going to raise the money and they're going to buy him. But it's not a normal summer. Football has been halted everywhere. The likes of Juventus and Real Madrid will be harder hit than Manchester United in terms of signing big money talent and big money players in the transfer window. They're not going to have as much money as they once did. And with that being said, it's going to be very difficult for them then to meet Manchester United's asking price of Paul Pogba. United's asking price of Paul Pogba would be 100 million plus. And look, if he wants to leave and he was there to make that move happen and they had the money, let him go. Let him go, but make sure we get our money and a lot more on top, at least 40 million on top for him. So if that was, you know, you could see that happening. But then with this coronavirus pandemic, with the way United are playing, things feeling all positive on the social, it looks like there's a possibility now that he could stay here. I've never felt Paul Pogba leaving Manchester United was about money. I've never felt it was about money with Paul Pogba. You don't get that. Look, I know he's going to be on big contracts, and no matter where he signs, his agent and he will be demanding a big contract. Of course, I understand that. But I don't think he was going to go to the club that would simply be paying the most. I think it would have been a case, and what would have come into his decision would have been a lot about, can he win trophies? Can he continue to build on what he's already won? 4 La Ligas, a Europa League, League Cup with United, some Coppa Italia, some Super Cups in Italy, a World Cup with France, a Euros final. Can he continue to build on that with what he's done already? Because a player of his quality should be competing for the biggest trophies. We know that. And if he feels like he can do that at Manchester United, that is a massive, massive boost to Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. Not only in terms of having the player in the squad and having Paul Pogba in the team and keeping hold of one of the best midfielders in the world, but also in that, what does that say about Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's credentials that he is able to get Paul Pogba to sign a new contract at the club? That would be massive for him. That would be massive for him. Now, Keegan in the comments says, I'm worried about the wages he will be on and how that will affect the other players. I don't think his wages would be ridiculous because at the moment, like we've seen, we're taking out kind of Real Madrid and Juventus probably can't compete with United. So we're taking that out of the equation, the market that we're in. But also, I don't think he'd be on more than Alexis Sanchez is on currently. And if Paul Pogba was earning that and playing week in, week out, and he was fit, I don't think anybody would have any complaints in the squad because Paul Pogba is our best player. And I think in that terms of a structure, if he was getting Alexis Sanchez's wages, you can't really complain. The other players wouldn't complain either. He'd be able to justify that more than Alexis Sanchez. But I don't think he'd be demanding ridiculous wages or, you know, double what he's currently on in this kind of market when, you know, other clubs can't compete for him anyway financially. Tanay says, although it's assuming with Pogba staying, news from AS saying that Atletico Madrid are in a financial difficulty and will look to sell Saul to Manchester United. Do you think a midfield of Saul, Pogba and Bruno would work? It would be a great midfield. I'd love Saul Niguez at Manchester United. I just don't think it's going to happen. I can see this ending with him signing a new deal or something. But again, like I've mentioned, if United aren't in, if with all this kind of situation, the coronavirus going on, it is a different market. And like Ollie said, maybe they can exploit some of those teams. But you hear the reports from Ornstein. Well, rather a report, he told someone had advised him that United were not in for Jack Grealish. And with that being said, it kind of does hint at, you know, us looking at a different kind of midfielder, a Saul Niguez. Jude Bellingham has been linked with Manchester United again today. It kind of points towards us moving towards a different kind of midfielder. And I've been saying this for a long time, guys, on AdamMcKola TV. You guys that tune in quite regularly know it. And this isn't me saying I told you so, but I have said for a long time I want Jack Grealish at Manchester United. I want United to sign Jack Grealish, and then I always said, but I think, with Paul Pogba possibly staying, that becomes a little bit difficult. And I think that's definitely the case. Jack Grealish will come if Paul Pogba leaves. As much as I'd love us to sign Jack Grealish anyway, we'd probably spend that money elsewhere in the midfield, which totally makes sense. Now, there was some reports today in regards to Jude Bellingham. Now, the reports in regards to Jude Bellingham was that Manchester United were leading the way and confident of winning the battle for Jude Bellingham. And also that Pogba's future will not interfere with MUFC's plans to sign Jude Bellingham. If he was to sign, the plan would be for him to go straight into the first team and not return to Birmingham on loan. Now, someone said the other day, what does that mean for James Garner and Dylan Levitt if you're seeing a 16-year-old come from Birmingham City and go straight into the first team? But sometimes you have to go for these players if you consider them to be exceptional talents. Now, I've not seen enough of Jude Bellingham to say he's anything like this player, but it was much like with United and Wayne Rooney. Newcastle made a bid, United kind of wanted to wait another season. Newcastle made a bid, United thought, we can't miss out on him, we have to make a move. Made their move, got their man probably a little bit earlier than they would have wanted. And that could be the case with Jude Bellingham because there's interest elsewhere from other players. We may be forced into making, from other teams, we may be forced into making a move for him now because of that, which, again, you can understand. But what do you guys think? Jude Bellingham in at Manchester United, possibly, being a rotation for Nemanja Matic in that midfield area? Because I imagine Nemanja Matic starts as our Matic, Bruno, Pogba would be the midfield, surely. In my opinion, that's the best midfield three out of them, especially away from home. I think in the home games you can play Fred or McTominay in that central defensive midfielder position and still be as strong. But away from home, I wouldn't be confident playing McTominay or Fred in that deep line position. And Matic hasn't got that long left in him, has he? So you've got to take that into consideration as well. If Pogba goes next season, surely we lose out on Grealish because he will move with Villa getting relegated, says Aaron J. I think if Pogba stays this summer, this shouldn't be a case of him going potentially next summer. Gavin's in the house, Tim Walsh is in the house and is saying, Paul is one of the best in the world. Our team is looking good now. Get Sancho, keep Pogba, I'll be happy. What's your thoughts on Jude Bellingham? Kind of just gave him. I've not seen enough of him to judge, but from what I have seen, he looks like a very talented player. He can play in a number of positions. There's talk about him potentially playing in that DM position. But like Jeremy Vea says, Bellingham is 2 years younger than Garner and Levitt. What about them then? What about them? Or is it that he's just too good of a talent to miss out on? I don't know. Somebody that's seen more of Jude Bellingham, let me know. Jamie says if Pogba stays, why even think of Grealish? It's football sacrilege to lose out on Super Jacks. There's 2 tiers in a bucket. Matic needs to retire to Florida and take Lingard and Pereira as golf buddies, says Minnie. Ion says, why isn't playing McTominay away from home strong? Sorry, bro, I think you misunderstood what I was saying. I mean in the sense that if you play Pogba and Bruno in a midfield, Matic is our best DM in that, because he's a bit more disciplined than McTominay and Fred in that position. That's not saying McTominay and Fred can't do that position. I just feel if you were going to Chelsea away, I'd feel a little bit more confident with Matic sitting right in front of your defence, because McTominay and Fred aren't exactly defensive midfielders. They're more all round. Now they can. I think Fred probably not. I think McTominay could play that role more and could improve in that role, and that's what we're looking from him to do. You may have a different opinion than me, and your opinion may be right. These are just opinions, and opinions are like arseholes, and we all have one. Do you think Grealish can play as a right wing if we don't get Sancho, says Forzy? I do. I'd rather get Sancho for the right wing, but I do. I think Jack Grealish could play anywhere behind a striker or on either side of a striker and just have a free reign to roll. That is Abhishek. It is. Guys, get hitting that like button, get commenting, get sharing, get subscribing, get joining if you can as well. A few of you have been asking about them. The links are in the description below. Trying to add it to the YouTube page, but YouTube's parring me off at the moment. Saul isn't pre-proven. Could take him a year to adapt. It's a risk. There's 2 tiers in a bucket. McTominay ain't a solo CDM, says Cyber J. That's exactly what I'm trying to say, bro. Someone else that kind of agrees with me. And Didi would be insane, but they're probably asking too much, says Keegan. Get liking the video, lads. It's not that hard. It's not that hard, Tim. Grealish, Samari, and Sancho, light work. Well, easy work, says 2 tiers. If we don't get Sancho, is there any other right winger United can go in for? I'm going to do a video on alternatives to Jadon Sancho very soon, so keep an eye out for that. I won't spoil it until then. I have got a fairly long list though of players. I think, let me see how many players I've got on the list. This is where all the magic happens. So Jack Grealish was one of them. Because like I said, I think Pogba's going to stay and Jack Grealish won't come. So then you could potentially use him in a wider area. Steg the first is think McSaucer's more upside amount has come on last 2 seasons. I definitely agree with that as well. Of course, it's got room for improvement. Memphis Depay was on my list. Todd Cantwell. There's just a few of my names on the list. Todd Cantwell's decent, innit? What do you think? Why would you be getting players to play them out of position? I say get a specialist like Sancho. It's true, Maya. I just think he'd play in a number of positions, so you could always use him there. But you're right. United need to be getting an out-and-out right winger. The right winger that we've had, Daniel James, started off really well. Fizzled out a little bit in the middle. Had a decent end to the season. I think we overplayed him a little bit too much at times as well. And it was a big move for him. He had an emotional start to the season with his father being passing away. And then obviously the emotion of playing for United and everything. The adrenaline would have taken him through that first start. But then you look at how he gets caught up with, you know, the fitness side of things in the Premier League would have been different. The quality, everything, it would have caught up on him. So then he had to readjust and learn and everything. So, yeah, I think James done well. But we need more out-and-out winger on there. And someone to go ahead of him. Someone said Fraser. Kengis Under, someone else said. Who would you prefer at left back? Williams or Shaw? To Sean. At left back, Brandon Williams. If you look at Luke Shaw's best performances for United this season, they came in the left centre back position. I don't think a fullback should be looking. You should need to accommodate him in a left centre back position to get the best out of him. If you're a fullback, not in my opinion, anyway. How cheeky of Borussia Dortmund asking for Greenwood as part of the Sancho deal, says Rebel. For you guys that didn't read that, there was a report that United were in for Sancho last season, but Borussia Dortmund floated the idea of potentially swapping Mason Greenwood for him, which United knocked back straight away, and that was straight off the table. Hell no, Rebel. Yes, Glenn, it is the thumb up, mate. It is the thumb up. Do you think we'll have to sell before we buy stability? No, but I don't think we'll be signing a load. I think we'd probably sign Sancho, Igalo, and then we'd have to sell to buy. Do you know what I mean? That's how I think it's going to go for United. Dwight McNeil's decent. He's been doing well for Burnley Steg. Kai Havertz is another name that's always shouted around here. McTominay, Fernandes, Pogba, Rashford, Marshall, Sancho is good as anything in the Prem, says another one of the comments. Who was that from? David Evans. You know about a thumb up, Adam. Awesomeness, stop it in the comments. Do you think we need that number 9, or are they going to keep a hold out? A Greenwood and keep. I'd keep Igalo. I'm happy with Martial's development. Obviously, there's still room for improvement, and we do need competition with him, which Viva Igalo showed that when he came in. So yeah, uh, I'm 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 happy to keep Igalo for a season or two. Get him in on a short-term deal. Get him in. Aniket is tuning in from Singapore. One of my favourite places that I've been to. Singapore is amazing, man. Shout out Hunter and Ben and the lads. Um, everyone, who do you think will do more in their United career, Greenwood or Sancho? Says Charlie. Mustafa, no one gives a fuck, brother. People here going on as if McTominay is world class, says Dara. Do we need Upamecano, says Mardavan? It's a good question, especially when you look at, we got Victor Lindelof, Bailly, Twanzebe and Maguire. You got Rojo, Smalling, Jones. If you sell those three, you possibly do need another centre back. It's possible. Upamecano has a worse injury record than Koulibaly, says Mini. If Pogba stays, our next priority besides Sancho is a DM, says Glenn Lim. And that's what was interesting in those reports from David Ornstein yesterday. He said United were not in for Jack Grealish, but were in for a defensive holding midfielder, which is music to my ears. I've been talking about how we'd get a Thomas Partey or someone. It looks like that may be Jude Bellingham though. Basbo, hope you're doing well, mate, over there in Australia. Thanks for tuning in. Parth Sati, I nearly called you Party. Thank you very much for tuning in as well, mate. McSauce, not world class, but important to do the dirty work, says Akshmi. Bargav says, what's your thoughts about getting Koulibaly? 29 in the summer, and we could get a couple of seasons out of him, and it won't impact development of Axel. Yeah, but the thing is, yeah, he's going to cost 70, 80 million. I don't think we ever end up getting him. Nice one, Ben. Joshua, you know what? Cannonballer, you know what to do, bro. Quick recap, just to recap for you guys that have joined us. We were looking at the reports that have been in the British press regarding Paul Pogba signing a new deal. And when you dig a little bit deeper, you have to say that, look, it's not what it would seem. The source that they're using and the information that they're using comes from Guillem Balaguer, who's not the most reliable, but he says United are confident in getting Paul Pogba to sign a new deal. So even he's not going all out saying United will get him to sign a new deal. But there is that confidence around fans and seemingly around the club that Paul Pogba is staying. A lot of people think this, when you look at the amount of media work he's been doing recently, that's another sign as well. Billy T says, any update on Angel Gomez? The last we heard was that he's potentially signing a new deal, but we've not heard anything since then. Maybe the club won't announce any new deals while everything's up in the air like this. And who knows, Pogba and Gomez could have already agreed a deal. Glenn says, do you think Pogba's heart is really in it though? I do think I think if he stays, he will stay because he wants to be here. I don't think he would stay if he didn't want to be here. United apparently offered him the best contract they've ever offered anyone last year, and he knocked it back. So there you go. Yeah, actually, we were talking about that, me and Steve, about getting Upamecano and loaning him Axel, because you could turn Axel into a big money centre half as well. But can't see it happening. But it's a nice idea. I wouldn't include Mason on loan in any deal or let him leave the club. Let him continue his development at Man United. I believe next season he can improve on what he scored this season. Even continuing to play as he is. We've just got to take our time with him, really. The world's at his feet. He's a fantastic talent, and I think United is the best place for him to develop, especially playing with the likes of Rashford, Marshall, potentially Sancho. I think that can do a world of good. Pogba staying, Bruno staying. I think we've got a team and a platform where we can allow Mason Greenwood to come through without that pressure, which is good. I'd love us to sign Grealish, but do you think he'd be happy with a rotational role? Rotational, no. But knowing that you're a part of a squad and you're not going to start every game, I think so, yeah. If Gomez to go out on loan next season, where do you think would best develop his potential? I wouldn't mind seeing him go to a Premier League team so you get to see more of him in the Premier League. But Spain or Italy, Germany even, could be a good one for him. You know, we're talking about Dortmund. What if we loaned him to Dortmund or Leipzig or something like that? Possibility. You could include him in the Sancho deal on loan. Yes, Matthew. How you doing, mate? How much is Ndidi worth? Estimates, I'd say 70 mil, easy. They'd ask. Leicester City would ask an awfully lot of money for him. They don't have to sell him. I mean, when you consider they sold, you know, us Maguire for 85 million. He has the English tax added on there when, you know, English players are costing a little bit more and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, Ndidi would be 50 million, 60, 70 million at the very least. Awesomeness with the super chat. Thank you very much for your super chat. Thanks for all the great content at this crap time. Think of this as me sharing a 10-pack with you. Hope you and your family stay safe and happy. Awesomeness, brother. Thank you very much. Or sister, you may not be, but thank you very, very much for your support on the channel. I appreciate everyone for tuning in recently. The views on the channel, even without football, have gone up recently on over the monthly basis. Not on every individual video, but like the support on the channel has been incredible. The new members that we've got joining, the new subscribers, people like Awesomeness. Thank you very much. Appreciate every single one of you for the support, and keep it locked. Minis, you lot killing me, man. You lot are absolutely killing me. Should we try a cheeky bid for Kante? Says Glenn Lim. He's been playing. Frank Lampard's been playing him out of position as well, isn't it? I don't think we get him, but you can surely get some current players on your channel considering your connection with Sam Homewood. Yeah, it's not as easy as that. It's not as easy as that at all. Worth risk playing Sanchez for the hope he can produce goods this season. I believe in second chances, says Rebel. If he stays at the club, you probably end up having to use him. But I'd said it before, we need to get rid of him. The United career mode's coming soon. I've got this FIFA video for today, so maybe it will start next weekend on Saturday when it's supposed to be streaming Saturdays. I will work on getting that to you ASAP. But we have got some FIFA content coming up today. And it's competitive as well, which is good. There's someone else playing on there with me. You can hear him. There's replays from his end that were on his stream. I've tried putting his camera in my camera, but it's a whole mess because I've got his whole Twitch footage, and oh my god, the edit's a headache, but it's coming and it's going to be a great video. Would love to see a new McKola House and Uncensored on Full Time Devils, says Tanae. Don't worry, they'll be back on Full Time Devils very, very soon. We did a new show yesterday called House and McKola Uncensored on Paddock, which you can go check out. But McKola and House and Uncensored will be back on Full Time Devils very, very soon. And Sunday at 8 PM on AdamMcKola TV, 8 PM UK time, we have McKola and Howson's Pod to Nowhere, which has been fun the last 2 weeks. We usually sit there for just over an hour talking absolute rubbish, but it's always fun. So make sure you join us here tomorrow at 8 PM UK time for the Pod to Nowhere. Later on today, we will have that FIFA content, the Manchester Derby best of 3 head-to-head between me and Foot FG. And Foot FG has been live for the last 24 hours raising money for the NHS. So well done to him as well, and go and check out his Twitch stream after we're done here. Souness was right in what he said, 100% right. About what, Josh? Because I definitely disagree with you there. It'll be on YouTube, Chan. Maybe Twitch as well, but it'll be on YouTube. Do you think Axel needs a loan? If United can't promise him game time, then yes. Glenn Fletcher, nice one. Yes, awesomeness. I appreciate that as well. Yeah, you've commented that already about 6 times, Josh. Chill, man. Bloody hell. Tyron, just to recap, the Pogba news that he's going to sign a new deal came from Guillem Balaguer and was run away with by the English press. And let me tell you, if Guillem Balaguer is saying it's going to happen, the opposite is probably going to happen. But I'm still confident that Pogba will sign a deal. There's just nothing official yet, and I wouldn't go by the word of Guillem Balaguer. But guys, Thank you very much for tuning in today, whether it's Ben, Al, Two Tears, Anthony, Awesomeness, whoever. Thank you very much for joining us here on AdamMcKola TV. To all the regulars, to all the newcomers, thank you. If you're new on the channel, make sure you're subscribing. If you're a regular and you haven't, check out the join button. It may interest you. Make sure you keep it like, comment, share, subscribe. FIFA video coming up later. United Daily Live on Sunday, and then the pod to nowhere in the evening. For now, I have been AdamMcKola. You lot have been absolute legends. I'm out.